Hello everyone, my name is Gerard Furi, and today I would like to ask the question of what good could you do in the world with 10 million US dollars? So we are doing a thought experiment today that somehow mysteriously you were given 10 million US dollars with no taxes. But in this hypothetical situation, you can't use it on personal stuff like a house or a car. And also, you cannot simply donate that money away. Donations can be a great way to bring goodness into the world, but for today, your $10 million should be used for financing and empowering a personal vision of yours that you yourself are going to go and do out in the world. So how can you use 10 million US dollars to go empower your passion for making the world a better place? That's the question. And I like this little thought experiment for finding some life passion within you. Perhaps it's your life passion, the life passion, and you want to dedicate your whole life to what you're going to find in today through this thought process. Or maybe it's just a little hobby life passion, but still, any passion for life is a fantastic thing. So how this little thought experiment works is you sit and daydream. What would I do if I had a bank account with 10 million US dollars in it? What good would I do? And usually you would first think of a particular topic. So I might use myself just as an example. For me, I might think, what does the world really need right now? Or what would really make the world a better place for future generations, not only for human beings, but for the whole earth? And to me, one important thing that could really benefit the world is if more people started trying in a responsible way, more people started using psychedelics for introspective reasons. So I could think, how would I spend $10 million to empower that idea? Now, we're daydreaming a little bit, so we don't need to be too specific. But with 10 million US dollars, I could maybe buy a property and build a sort of a sacred psychedelic center where people can come from all over the world, legally take psychedelics. There'll be a beautiful garden. There'll be facilitators. There'll be fruit trees growing, safe places where people can have their own experiences, but with a trip sitter nearby, and generally a place where people can come and legally experience the beauty and healing of psychedelics. And that's just a little daydream vision I would have. And with 10 million US dollars, I could maybe do something like that if I can find a country that would allow such a thing. So that's the first step. What could you do? Whatever your life passion is, how do you think the world could be better? How could you, with $10 million, make the world a better place? Now we're going to bring it back down. Take it down one notch. How much could you do with 1 million US dollars? So 1 million US dollars, that's a lot of money. But now in comparison, it seems less. It doesn't seem that much. Because with only 1 million, I probably couldn't buy a big piece of land with, a whole psychedelic sacred center on it. I couldn't build a custom place. I could maybe get some property and some building, but it's not going to be this grand vision that I had with 10 million US dollars. So with 1 million US dollars, maybe I start daydreaming again. I scale back. Well, another thing I think would be interesting with still my goal of promoting psychedelics or promoting people taking it in a responsible way, something that would be interesting is to travel the world and make a little documentary. Maybe you can use that $1 million to go and film famous people, perhaps spiritual people, or just, even celebrities that have a spiritual interest. And in this documentary that I am daydreaming about, you record the first 5 spiritual experiences that people have on 5-MeO-DMT. This could be very famous people like the Dalai Lama and Sadhguru and celebrities like Arnold Schwarzenegger because I'm just daydreaming. But I can think to myself, for $1 million, I could go travel the world and make this documentary series, and that would be fantastic. So that's your step 2. First, you start with 10 million, then you go to $1 million, and then we're going to go scaling way down. What can you now do? The same sort of essence, the same goal that you have for yourself. How can you do that with only $10,000 or just no money at all? And what you'll find, I hope, is if you've already established what you want to do, you'll find there still are ways that you can pursue what you want to do, but with no money at all, or just your own personal resources. So just to use me as an example again, maybe I can't go traveling the world, maybe I can't go opening a fancy psychedelic center in a fancy place of beautiful architecture, with beautiful gardens, so I can't do that, I can't make the documentary, I don't have that much money, but I can make this YouTube channel, and still in a smaller way, but still hopefully somewhat effective way, make the world a better place. And that's the goal of this thought experiment, for you to find your own personal passion of how you want to make the world a better place. And if you don't have 10 million or $1 million, then you can still think with $0 or your own personal resources, maybe let's say it's $1,000 or $10,000, how can you go and actualize and do that same passion? And it doesn't need to be to this extreme level, just in a small way, it helps the world already. And the concept of a butterfly effect, it's really true. And if you just keep going at your own personal level, whatever level you can, if you keep it consistent, you can have actually a lot of success. So I hope that thought experiment makes sense to you. And I gave you my example. I don't want to give too many specific examples because the goal here really is for you to find your own personal passion about how you feel you could make the world a better place. But I'll just give 3 more examples just very quickly. The first one that I thought of is, I don't want to really use the word veganism because I'm not even a vegan, but perhaps you personally feel that what the world would really benefit from is eliminating or drastically reducing animal suffering in the farming industry. So with $10 million, you can have very creative ideas. With $1 million, you can have some scaled down ideas. But if you found that you actually have a passion for wanting to reduce animal suffering, you could find that even with no money at all, you could make a significant impact. And if you're consistent with whatever your goals are, you could reduce or eliminate the suffering of thousands of animals. And that's very worthwhile. And another sort of idea I had is perhaps you're very passionate about reducing pollution, not just for global warming, but in third world countries especially. You can see rivers, they can have all sorts of junk thrown in them. So let's just take an example such as India. Perhaps you're very passionate. With $10 million, you could, I'm sure, in India do a lot with $10 million, and you can think, how can I make the rivers more healthy? Scale that back to 1 million, come up with some ideas, and then think, how can I actually, follow that through, follow that same goal, but with only my own personal resources? And maybe it boils down to something as simple as every time you walk through nature next to a river that has pollution in it, you are going to plant an avocado pit so that at least next to the river there's trees, not just dry wasteland. It could be something that simple. And if you are consistent with your efforts, although you might not blow the world away, you could plant 1,000 trees and create kilometers of a beautiful section of the river. And that could inspire the locals to treat the river with more respect and as a place of joy, not just a place to dump rubbish. So those are my 3 examples. It's just a thought experiment here for you today. But if you actually do it, if you allow yourself to daydream about how you can actually create goodness in the world through your own actions, if you daydream of that, that can actually lead to a wonderful life passion within yourself. And all of this, it can reframe money as well. Because money, if we see it with these eyes, how can we use money to make the world a better place? If that's how you see money, money is actually a beautiful divine instrument.